So we were saying that firstly, hello, my name is Blerina Vila. I'm working as a consultant with DEFCO B1. I'm just intervening to respond to the two last questions that were written in the chat box. But before I do that, if you have questions, please do keep writing. If we don't manage to answer just right now, we'll try to come back to the person that had the inquiry. There are one question from Eleni who is asking whether there are examples or guidance on the text to include in the TORs to make them gender sensitive. Yes, there are. One resource that you can refer to is the EC toolkit on gender mainstreaming in development cooperation. There you have standard TORs for gender analysis, but you have also some thematic guidance for justice sector. In addition to that, very shortly there will be EU resource package available that has also a wide collection of carefully selected instruments. Benedetta Magri is going to talk about it in a minute, but that also you can use to literally copy and paste good text from the thematic brief into your TOR to make them more gender responsive. The next question comes from Christelle. For DG NEAR, will DEVCO B1 colleagues be involved in QSG? Marina, do you want to answer? Yes. The short answer is yes, they will. Also, for the preparation of the EU Gender Action Plan, for example, DG NEAR colleagues have been very closely involved in the process. Therefore, there are also resources internally to DG NEAR on which we can rely. Do they have to indicate a gender person that shall participate in the QSG? So I hope that gives you a positive answer. And Christelle is asking, for the end of result analysis of an ongoing program, will you provide support to review the indicators for which the majority do not include gender disaggregated data? Yes, it's better if you answer.
Hi, Christelle. So for the end of results analysis, it's going to go through the standard process, which is the ROM end of project data collection. So 06 will be managing all of that, and they will be gathering all results that you choose to report, whether they are EU Results Framework ones or not. They'll be gathered, and they will go into the general database on results, and then we in B1 will be analyzing those results, and we'll be mining them for anything that gives us an indication on how well we're doing on gender. And if there is very little gender disaggregated data or sex disaggregated data, that in itself is an indication that we're not doing particularly well. So to answer your question in brief, yes, there will be support from the ROM experts in terms of gathering the results, and then we in B1 will be the ones analyzing that 06's database from a gender perspective. Yeah, so I'm passing it on to Benedetta now.
Hello everyone, my name is Benedetta Magri, and I work in the Gender and Non-Discrimination Program of the International Training Center of the ILO. I have been let me just put this so you can hear me better. I have been working with the European Commission and UN Women on a large program called Financing for Gender Equality over the past 4 years, which had, as the name says, has the objective of increasing financing for gender equality objectives, and it has done so in many different ways. And one of these ways has been to put together the existing resources and tools and experiences of different donors in gender mainstreaming and development cooperation. So what has resulted out of this effort, that has been a joint effort not only of ITC, ILO and UN Women and the European Commission, but also of a group of bilateral representatives from the EU member states, basically gathered in a in a network called Learn for Dev, we have been really pooling together all these resources and transforming them in something which we call the EU Resource Package on Gender Mainstreaming in Development Cooperation. And I'm just very briefly going to show you what it's going to look like. This is a very quick demo. But it's going to be released early next year, and it will contain, I would say, most, if not hopefully all, the tools that you will need in order to be able to meet all the demands that come out, that derive from the EU Gender Action Plan. So I'm just going to share my desktop with you so you can just quickly see it. Okay, and then I minimize, right. Okay, so this is how it's going to look like. This is a product that's going to be hosted in a web page, temporary web page, until the capacity for development web page will be able to host it, because the capacity for development system is undergoing, let's say, restructuring. So we're just holding it, but it's going to be available anyway, even if the capacity for development website is not ready yet. The tool contains basically three main areas. One is about the basics of gender mainstreaming, what it means, the definitions, examples, what are the basic international and European commitments, for instance, in relation to gender equality in development. Many of the things that Jeanette has been talking about, you will find here. And they are summarized in, let's say, user-friendly bits of information. It really goes through, this part really goes through the basics that you'd like, for instance, sex disaggregated data, how to and which type of sources you can use at international level to gather sex disaggregated data, or how you can gather sex disaggregated data at project level. So we're going to give some really quite practical tools in order to be able to do that. Gender analysis, again, something that Jeanette has been talking about right now. So what are the existing gender analysis frameworks that can be used when you have to actually analyze a situation? And also, as I said, because this is really the result of the work done with different institutions, including GIZ, you will have quite a bit of good materials that has been developed by other donor institutions such as GIZ, and all this is complemented by practical examples that are going to help you kind of gather straight away what we are talking about. So I'm not going through the whole gender mainstreaming section. I just want to show you what the other sections are about. The central part is really about the modalities of aid. So we looked at tools for gender mainstreaming that can be used in the three main aid modalities, so general budget support, sector budget support, but more focused at the sectoral level, and the project approach. So here, for each of these modalities, you have tools that cover all the various phases of the cycle of operations. We have been trying to make the information as accessible as possible, and at the same time also as practical as possible. So you will see that here you have really suggestion that we have been trying to build on the basis of the frequently asked questions that gender help desks and people working in gender in headquarters receive as requests from colleagues in delegations. So here, for instance, in programming, you will see that there is a tool on how to include gender equality in policy dialogue, or how to elaborate the terms of reference for a country gender profile, and so on and so forth. So you will have this type of structure for each of the three aid modalities. And again, you will find quite a number of experiences and practices and good practices to help you see a little bit how to go about it and get examples. The third area is what we call the thematic area, and it really gives briefing notes and a set of other, we hope, useful information on the different sectors of priority of development cooperation. This has been a first selection done, as I said, by the working group. It has been pretty broad in terms of institutional representation, and it has consulted also with partner countries' institutions, both at the level of national planning units and Ministry of Women. So we really tried to get as many views as possible in relation to the type of needs we would need to meet. And here you see, for instance, that we have an area on human rights, culture, and justice, and much of the, of course, the content that Jeanette has been giving us is incredibly rich and incredibly live, but they say the structure that she has kindly agreed to follow was based on the thematic note on gender and justice. So if you click on the link, you will find a PDF that you can easily download and print exactly on how to mainstream gender in support to the justice sector. The same goes for other thematic areas. And in each of these areas, you not only find the kind of summary brief, but you will find a number of references to work done by other institutions that may be interesting for you, or links to thematic pages. For instance, GIZ has quite a nice thematic page on gender and justice and political participation, which is quite rich in terms of data. They keep it updated, so you can get also latest news or new briefs that have been produced. Yes, then let's see what else you're going to be finding here. You're going to be finding a kind of, we try to make this as easy to navigate as possible. We really know that people don't have time, so we try to group also and provide access to the tools through frequently asked questions. In order to build this list of questions, we have consulted with gender focal points in delegations and in embassies of member states. So we really hope this is responding to some of the questions you may pose to yourself when you are striving to gender mainstream in your respective areas of operation. But if you think that there are, when we're going to share it with you as soon as possible, because it's still on a demo, we're still finalizing it, but in early January you'll get it. So if you have any other burning question you would like to add, we'll try to meet the need. And finally, because this, as I said, was a result of a big gathering of information, we have collected about 500 titles of recent publications in the area of gender mainstreaming in development cooperation, publications, guidelines, toolkits produced mostly by donor agencies, so they are as much as possible relevant to your daily work, and gathered in a knowledge bank, which is basically an annotated, but it's quite well annotated bibliography with the links to all these materials. So I've opened the Excel file for you. It's not very easy to see here, probably, but you will find the title, the web link. We tried to focus on the year of publication. Here I've selected the publications relevant to human rights, regional commitments, public sector, and good governance. And you will be able maybe to, let's say, go a little bit further in your analysis if you need to do so. I think that this is basically, let me see if I can go back to where I was. It doesn't look like, yeah. I think this is basically it about this resource package. The resource package will be hosted, as I said, in a, let's call it temporary web page, where you also will find some very short, we hope to have as many as possible, but certainly there will be 3 or 4 short clips on key information, like for instance the lecture that Jeanette has given us today is going to be in a shorter version also there, another type of little training and advocacy tools that you may want to share or use with your colleagues. So I think I'm closing here, unless there are any burning questions. You will, as I said, this will be made accessible at the beginning of next year to try and help you in your gender mainstreaming work. Thank you very much. I'll pass it on to Marina to close the webinar.
Okay. Well, thank you, Benedetta. I would like to thank very much Jeanette Arias-Meza, who's the Chief of Gender Secretariat of the Judicial Power of Costa Rica, for a really inspiring and very, very interesting presentation, because, I mean, she has been traveling just for us since Costa Rica. So thank you very much, Jeanette. So just to close, I want to reassure you, yes, we are involved in the QSG processes, together with the neighborhood colleagues. For the moment, the agreement in between the two DGs is that the thematic experts in DevCo continue to support the neighborhood programs in the quality assessment of the neighborhood programs. So for the moment, we are still involved, and we are trying to give our contribution to all your programs and projects. We are going to provide this support directly, of course. We are going to support your gender focal person, providing them with the maximum knowledge we can share via training, via this kind of webinar, via specific material. You saw the resource package. I think is one of the most useful database we will have in the Commission. And we are going to hire a group of experts, a sort of help desk for you and for us, of course, for the next 2-3 years, in order to ask them to intervene whenever we, DevCo B1 or the colleagues in DG NEAR, won't be able to provide support, or we won't have enough human resources for that. So I think that's enough. I remind you to send us your feedback, please. Just to let us know if it has been useful, interesting, what we can improve, because of course there's always some space for improvement. Thank you again. Have a nice weekend to everybody, and well, I hope to see you soon. Goodbye.